various informations, details and controls by which the transaction has to behave. Whenever you do any kind of a transactions, before that you need to create the master data for that. Like you want to go for a GL posting, then you need to create a GL master data. If you want to have any of the transactions related to vendor or customers, before that going for the transaction you need to create the customer master or the vendor master. Similarly in the CO part you need to create the cost element master data or the cost center master data, profit center master data, so as to use those cost center, profit centers in the transactions in the CO part. So that is about the master data. Where is the transaction data? Transaction data refers to the different transactions which we execute for posting the vouchers or the transactions into the SAP system. So what are the different transactions you do, like FB50, FB60, FDS02, FDS58, FDS28, FDS54? These all are transactions data which post the transactions in the ledger accounts or in the customer or the vendor account, and on the basis of that the financial statements are prepared for the organization. So any transaction which you do or any entry which you do which affects the financials, that is refers to a transaction data in FICO part. Moving to the header data, whenever you do any transactions you need to fill two type of informations in the transaction. One is header data and another is transaction data. Header data relates to the first half of the detail which you fill on the upper side, like you fill the document date, you can see over here on the screen. So this first part which you are taking up over here is header data, like document date, posting date, reference, currency, company code, header text. These are termed as header data, and for every header data there is a separate table. There is a separate table which holds your header data into the system. Whereas when you come down to the below part, on the second part over here, this belongs to your transaction data, where you fill the informations with respect to the transactions, where you take the GL account, debit, credit, amount, cost center, business area, tax codes and all those things. So these various fields are termed as the transaction data in the system. So you must be clear that what is a document header data and what is a transaction data. Header data is saved in a different table accordingly, and the transaction data is been saved in a different table on the basis of their classifications. Moving to the next is open items and cleared items. You must be knowing by now what is open item and what is cleared item. Open item refers to the items or the line items, you can say, which are in green. If you talk about some of the transactions, like I execute, suppose I execute this particular report for some of the vendor, I've executed this. So you'll find, okay, there is not, let me change it. To the next report. So if I execute this report over here, which will take all the different data from the system on the screen, and open data basically refers to the data which are not complete, which needs certain part to be done so as to make them complete. Until they are completed, they will be staying in a red part. So you can see on the screen, like this GL 202320, that is FRED clearing. So you will see over here that different documents are there which are red marked. These red mark on the first column refers to open. Open refers to open items. Open items means that one of the part is complete but the next of the part is yet to be done, so that they get compensated or they get the cycle of those particular transaction gets completed. So once the other part will get completed, this particular green items will move to the red item will move to the green item part. So the color will change from the red to the green. So the transactions which are reflecting with green are open items, and the transactions which are reflecting with sorry the transactions which are with red are open line items, and the transactions with green are cleared line items. So once, like, just take a practical example. When there is a invoice from a vendor, when you post the invoice into the SAP system, those invoices are always been open items. They are red marked. Why? Because yet the another part is pending, that is the payment to the vendor. Once you do the payment to the vendor with respect to the invoice, then in that case you have to clear that invoice of the vendor, that is the open item, against the payment, which indicates that the payment of the invoice is completed. And in that case, once you do the payment, on that particular moment it moves from red to the green, that is, it moves from the open items to the cleared line items in the SAP system. So again, for open items and for cleared items, there are two different tables for every sub modules of FI part. So I'll be covering all of those one by one. Moving up to the next, SAP table types. In SAP FICO, every transaction is divided into two parts. One is master data and another is transaction data. Again, within the transaction data, again they are divided into two parts. One is open items and another is cleared items. So you need to understand how these different tables works, and the informations or the transactions which you post flows to these different tables. If you talk about master data, there are different master data in FI and CO. If you talk about FI module, in FI there is GL master data, there is customer master data, vendor master data, asset master data, then again bank master data, which need to be created. And each of these different master data has their own tables which store informations related to it. Again, if you talk about the transaction data, these separate sub module of FI, like general ledger again has got two parts. One is open items and one is cleared items. Similarly, the customer or the vendor, like accounts payable or accounts receivable, have their own open items and cleared items, and each of these sub modules have separate table for open items and separate table for cleared items. Just like to have a look. Master data tables. In SAP FI, there is GL master, customer master, vendor master. Similarly, there are master data in SAP controlling module as well. There are master data like cost element, profit center, cost centers, activity type, internal order, key statistical fields. These are different master data in the controlling module, for which there are separate tables where the informations related to the basic informations are stored. Now there are different tables for each of them, as on your screen. The table has been assigned with respect to the sub modules, as you can see on the screen, that is SKA1, SKB1. There are two tables for GL master. For customer master, there is KNB1 and KNA1. There is vendor master for LFB1 and LFA1. For asset master, there is ANLA. For banking master, there is BNKA. Similarly, for SAP controlling, for cost element, there is CSKA. For profit center, CEPC. For cost center, CSKS. And for activity type, CSLA. So we'll be executing each of these different tables and we'll see how it has been reflected in the SAP system. See how this table works in the SAP system. Now moving on to the SAP system, To execute any reports, to have a look of any of the tables in the SAP system, you need to execute a transaction code to display the tables. So it is the transaction code on your screen to display tables. You have to execute the transaction SE16N. So let's execute this SE16N. Once you put that transaction, you have to click onto the enter. So now you can see a new screen comes up on your SAP page, that is general table display. Now in that you can see that there is a table option, there is a field for text table, then layout, and then the maximum number of hits. So in this you need to assign the table over here in the table field, whichever table you want to look for, what kind of a data you are looking forward, accordingly you can execute the table. So just suppose we want to have a look of the various master data, GL master data into the SAP system. So how can we have a look of that? So the first table which we will be executing is SKA1. You need to assign the table over here SKA1. Once you put the table, you need to enter on the screen so that this table will be read. So entered, and you will see that now as I clicked onto the enter, you can see the different data on one side, the different field name have been reflecting to you on the screen, and even you can see the table name has been displayed to you over here, GL account master chart of account. So this is the GL account master as per the different as per the company's chart of account level. Now on the right hand side there is a technical name, and on the left hand side there is a field name. In SAP, whatever we see in the front of the transactions like GL account, vendor name, GL number, company code, vendor, posting date, each of these different fields have a technical name in SAP. That is what you can see. The client is there, and the client's technical name has been reflected to you on the other side of it, on the right side. So on the left side there is a field name, on the right side that is the technical name of client. Similarly for chart of account, the technical name is KTOPL, and in the similar way for GL account the technical name is SAKNR. If you have worked on as of now yet, then you would be able to understand this fully. So if you want to see the data, the master data of a particular chart of account, in that case you need to execute this particular table. And now what information did you need to fill? You have to fill the chart of account over here, and if you want to have the list of all the master data for this particular chart of account, you can assign the chart of account and then you can execute the report over here. So once we execute, now what it will do is it will read all the data. So you can see on your screen the output has been reflected to you on your screen, and you can read over here that the number of hits 353, that means there are total 353 GL master data as on the system. So you can see the chart of account is there, GL account number, and then it reflects you whether it is a part of balance sheet or not. So if it is a cross, that means it's a part of the balance sheet. It again shows the GL account, and then it shows the creation date and the creation user ID. Then it shows the account group. If you remember the account group in the FI part, in the initial part, you need to create the GL account group for mapping purposes. So that is it. If you move ahead, you will find a lot of information related to it. Like over here you can see the short name and the long name, that is furniture. So this is the name of the GL account which we have been displaying. Similarly, you can find all the different data related to the other GL as well. So it shows you the GL number along with its description. Similarly, you can have a look of the other table, that is SKB1 as well. So SKB1 table is, to execute that table again we need to go back. So execute, clicking on the back button. Now over here we can execute another table SKB1. Now this table is for GL account master at company code level. There is a difference between chart of account level and company code level. A chart of account can be assigned to multiple company codes. That's why there could be multiple GL master data for that particular chart of account level. But when you execute it for a particular company code, it's very specific. So SKB1, enter, and now it will change the field. You can see over here the GL master account master company code. So this is a table which shows you the GL master data as per company code. So you can even see that the field name has been changed now. The company code is there, then there is a GL account, authorizations and all. So you can put the company code 1000 or whatever the company code you have. So again, you will always find the field name on the left side and the technical name on the right side. And again, we can go and we can execute this report, this table, and it will reflect you the data which it has for the company code 1000. So executing the report, and now you can see again the data is there, and now there is a difference. At the chart of account level, the data were 353 if you remember, and at the company code level there is data is 351. That means two GL master were belong to some other company codes. Now here you can find all the further details, that is what is the field status group that has been assigned to, whether it is a reconciliation account or not, then the currency INR, line item has been marked in FS00 or not. So every master data detail will be reflected to you. Then sort key is there. Moving ahead, you will find further things. So these are the number of different things which you find in this particular table. Similarly, if you move on to the other tables of other submodules like customer, for customer this table is KNB1 and KNA1. The process is pretty simple. The same way you need to execute all the other reports, entered, and you can see now it shows you the list, customer, country. Now this particular table is for general data in customer master. So if you want to see the master data for all what is there in the system, you can execute this, and you can see the list down now. So they are total, as you can see, the 90 total customers they are in the system, and you can see even there are number of different customers, and every customer has a customer code. It shows you the country and then the name of the customer and the addresses of the customer. Then there are contact number, street, fax. These are different fields. You can the name one, then again the city, title of that. Then if you move ahead further, you will find that it was created on this date and been created by this person. Then moving on further, you will find the group. Then moving on, you will find the vendor. If there is a relationship between them, it will be reflected to you. So this is there in it. Language is there, then text number is there, telephone number is there. So there are different number of things which are there as per the master data. If you fill those things, it will be reflected over here, else they will show you as blank. Even you can see that somebody has filled the URL as well. So if you fill the URL link, even that will be reflected in the master data. So this is the master data for customer. The table name is KNA1. Similarly, you can execute KNB1. Both the table has different datas. Few of them are common for the linkage, else there are differences. So this KNB1 refers to the customer master at company code level. So you can see this is company code. So that means this can be executed at company code level. And the last report which we executed, KNA1, belongs to at the client level. So you can put the company code over here, and again you can execute it so as to have the company code data. So you can see now the number of data is 89. So this is how you need to execute the customer master data. Similarly, if you move to vendor, again the same way you have to execute the vendor, LFB1 or LFA1, whichever of them you want to. LFB1, entered. So you can see now this is vendor master at company code level. Again, you can put the company code in this case and you can execute it. So it shows you all the various vendors which have been created, and you can see there are around 500 vendors in the system. So these are the vendor code, then the company code, personal number, created by the user ID, then the reconciliation account which has been assigned to the vendor. Moving ahead, you will find further more things if they have been filled up then. So this is how you need to execute this report, this particular table, sorry. So I think now you are very much clear. You need to execute the table with SE16N entered, and then you need to put the table over here. So next table which we will be executing is, suppose, is asset master, ANLA entered, and you can see now the various asset related details will be reflected. So now again we can put the company code over here and we can execute. It will give you the list of various assets been created within the company code 1000. Executing the table. So you can see now the list, and there are around 500 different custom assets created, and you can see over here the company code is 1000. This is the asset number, then the asset class, then the created by and created on date, changed by and changed on date is also there. There is the asset layout, asset account determination. I think you must be knowing it if you have done the asset accounting. Then there are a number of different things: first acquisition, capitalization date, retirement date, or deactivation date if there is any deactivation or retirement been done. Moving ahead, if we fill the vendor or the origin country and all these in the master data of asset, those will be reflected too over here. Even the quantity has been reflected in this. So these are different fields on the screen which have been reflected to you: quantity, asset, country, name, and all. These are different fields which have been reflecting different values if those have been maintained. And here is the description of the asset is there. So this is the asset description, that this asset 100001 belongs to is been named as is Steel Almira. So accordingly you can move ahead further. You will find further details. So this is about the master data of asset, and you can see the table has been described over here as well, asset master record segment. Similarly, now you can execute the bank master data, BNKA. It shows you the bank name, bank key, bank address details. So if you execute this table now, it will be reflecting you the bank related master data, and you can see the bank key is known as the bank master data. This shows when it has been created and by whom it has been created, and it shows you the name of the bank, the region it's belonged to, and the address of the bank, that is the street, city. Then SWIFT code is also there. Then you can put the bank number as well, post bank, address, name, branch can also be filled. The methods can also be assigned over here on the or to the bank. So these are the different master data fields which need to be filled when you create the bank key. I think you must have done that in the banking part as well. Now moving on, we are done with the SAP FICO. These are the different asset masters. Similarly, you can create the you can have a look of the various master data in the controlling part. Like for cost element, it is CSKA. So we'll just look for a couple of them and then move on. CSKA, you can enter on the screen now, and you will see the description has been changed. So it has a very limited fields with itself. You can see over here. So we can put the chart of account and then we can execute it. So once you execute, you will find the different cost elements which have been created. You can see on the screen the chart of account is there, cost element is there, and then creation date, enter date, then further your name and the description has also been reflected to you. So this is cost element creation. Similarly, we can move on and we can have a look at the profit center, that is CEPC. Enter, and you can see the description has been changed, profit center master data table. and you can execute that. If there is no option over here of client or the company code or the chart of account, you can directly execute. Even the profit center is been created at the client level, that's why. So we can execute it and it will show you all the different list of profit centers. So you can see there are 27 profit center created on the screen. The creation date is there, the controlling area is there, then they're entered by, created by, valid from and to date is also there. When we create a profit center, you need to fill valid from and valid till date, so that has been assigned as well. And then the person responsible, user responsible, currency, department, if you want to fill, you can fill it up. So these are the different fields which can be assigned. Moving on, there is a segment is also been assigned, the name of the profit center is there, then the profit center text is there, long text is there. So these are the number of different fields which are there, which we need to fill when we create the profit center, and those, when we save those data is saved in the particular tables. So this is how you can create, you can have a look of the different data within the particular tables, depending what kind of a table you are looking for, which master data you are looking for, and for that you can execute these different tables on the screen. Moving on to the next now is the transaction data or the transaction data tables. Now in the transaction data tables, moving on, there are two most important tables which is used in a day-to-day many activities by a consultant for finance department. They are BSEG, that is termed as BSEG, that is accounting document line item, and BKPF, that refers to accounting document header. These two tables is something which you must know well. Now one, as you can read from the description, one is a line item and one is a header. We even discussed in the previous part that what is a line item or open item and what is a header data. So whenever you post a transaction, there are two types of data which need to be filled. One is a header data. A header data is something which is known as accounting document header table over here. So to have a look of the header data of those transactions at table level, we need to execute the table BKPF. And if you want to see the line items, like what is the debit and what is the credit, whenever a document is posted, there are at least two line items, one is a debit and one is a credit. So if you want to see the debit credit line items and their details further, what are the different items, different amount, different narrations being filled in those things, those part, then in that case we need to execute the table BSEG. So, sorry. So these are the different two tables which are very important from finance perspective. Now moving on to the first table, that is BSEG. Let's see how this looks like. So the same transaction is there. To have a look of any table, it may be in SAP, you need to put the table name BSEG, enter on the screen. So once you entered, you can see accounting document segment. This BSEG table is a very important and one of a very dangerous table from SAP FI perspective. This is a very heavy table. Why? Because whatever the different data which has been posted into the SAP with respect to the finance and accounts, it stores all those transactions within this table, single-handedly. That is why this is termed as one of the heaviest data storing table in SAP. And whenever we do any customization or any Z programs, we try to use the list of this table so that it doesn't take more and more data, or even using this table will impact the performance of the customization, because it is the heaviest table in the FI part. So to look the different transactions at line item level, like a document is there are two line items in it, one is debit and one is credit. Now I want to see both the line item details at the table level. In that case, we need to execute this particular table, that is BSEG. Suppose I want to execute I want to just have a look of few things in it. So what I need to do is I need to put the company code. If you know the respective document number, you can fill those document number, else you can execute it as a whole. But mind it, whenever you execute it for the whole client or the company code, they are huge data. It may take couple of minutes, or it can take even couple of 5, 10, 15 minutes as well to procure all the data on your screen. And if you do that in a real time scenario in any of the company, it may slow down your system or even the organization user systems, because it consumes a lot of RAM memory to fetch those data from the backend and present it to you on the front desk. So it should be concise what kind of a data you're looking for, and put those respective things over there on the screen. Like for example, let's say execute the transaction FBL3N and select few of the document which I want to see from there onwards. So suppose I select a GL and I want to see only those documents from that part. How can I have a look of those? So suppose I select the building, execute. So in building, these are the different transactions. I just want to see few of them in the BSEC table. I don't want to see all of them. So what I can do is I can select some of the documents from over here, copy them, and then I can move up over here and put the company code, and then to the document number I can go to this more option, and in this I can copy paste those data, paste it, and then execute. And you can take this document number has been taken up over here, and you need to put the fiscal year as well, that is 2014, because the same document number or ranges are being used in every fiscal year. We need to copy from one fiscal year to another the same number ranges, so you must take the fiscal year as well for that. Now we can execute this particular table. Once it has been executed, you can see the output. So there are different line items in it, and you can see these particular documents has got 144 line items in it. Like if you talk about 300004 document number, it has got not one but around number of different line items. If you can read line item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it has number of transactions within it. So you can see till 4 document number, there are 27 line items in it. And if you look the transaction, it will show everything to you. I think this will give you more confusion. It would be more confusing for you to understand. So let's take a simple example of it further. So let's take a bank GL, and I want to see the detail of these different documents. So we can execute this again in the table. I need to go to this more, and I need to delete all entries first, and then I can copy paste new entries to it and then execute. So now once we did this, now we can execute the table so as to fetch the data. So now this will give you a better picture. Now there are around 49 line items, as you can see. The document number 1 over here, 330091, has got 2 line items, as you can see. Line item 1, line item 2. What does these 2 means? These 2 means that one is a posting key is 50, another posting key is 25. That means the K refers to the vendor account type, means vendor is debited, and the GL has been debited. And if you move further, you will find that there is a profit center has been assigned to it. Even you can see this HNS. HNS is the indicator for debit and credit. If you go for the F4 button on the keyboard, you will find the description that H refers to credit and S refers to debit. So even you can find with the help of this that H refers to credit. That means this particular first line item has been credited and the second line item has been debited. If you move ahead, you will find the amount over here on the screen. Even there are different fields. Maybe certain fields are the information has been put up, certain fields you will not find, certain in some of them you will find and some you will not, you may not find. Like this is over here is the text code, and this is a WT which refers to withholding tax. So in below part, if you see, the withholding tax has been charged as well as on the screen. Moving ahead, you will find further informations in it, like transactions, then there is a base amount, withholding base amount. Then moving on, you will find the value, date, assignment field is there if you want to maintain the assignment, and if you put any text in the line item, that text will also be reflected to you. Then you can move ahead to the controlling area has been reflected. Then again, there are number of different fields like order, billing document, sales document. So if any data comes from the sales and distribution module, those are updated over here. If there is any asset that comes to you over here, moving ahead, you will find that there are GL number also. And if the vendor is there, then vendor column has been reflected over here to you. There is a customer column which reflects the customer code. Then it shows you the whether it is a balance sheet account or it is a profit and loss account. Moving further, it shows you the baseline date. So there are a lot of different, and all informations related to the transactions are reflected over here to you. Again, the payment amount is there because this is a payment, so payment is also been reflected over here in the screen. So these are different fields which have been there. It's not small, it's has a huge list of different fields, and whatever the transactions data you fill while posting a particular transaction, all those things are reflected over here in this BSEC table. Mind it, whatever transactions, I mean that whatever transactions you do and whatever the information you put up over there, those all informations are updated over here in the fields. So this is a very important table. Moving to the next is, now this is for the line item display. It shows you the line item informations. That means the transaction data informations. Moving to the next is the header data. How I can see the header data? Header data refers to, let's see a document to give you an overview. So you can see on this part, the first part over here, that is data entry view. This part refers to the header data, which includes document number, company code, fiscal year, document date, posting date, period, then reference, currency. These are the different fields which have been termed as the header data. And even apart from that, if you go to this over here on this cap, display document header, whatever the information is reflecting to you over here, these are also termed as header data, like document type, header text, reference, currency, reference transaction, then reference key. These all are a part of header data. So if you want to see the header data of the documents, in that case I need to go to the the table, that is BKPF. So moving to BKPF, enter. So you can see over here accounting document header, and even you can read over here, these are the different header fields which have been on your left hand side of the screen. That is the company code, document number, fiscal year. Some of those fields will be common so as to have a relationship or a link between the other tables, like the company code, document number, fiscal year. These are the link for the other tables. But apart from that, if you look for document type, document date, posting date, period, these are similarly going ahead. Transaction code, reference, year, document header text. You will not find these fields in the BSEC table, because BSEC table is been holding the posting transaction data. It doesn't hold the header data. So header data you will always find in the BKPF part. So if you want to see the header data of any of the transaction, you can take the company code and then you can select the document number with more, copy, and then transfer data. And now we can execute this with the fiscal year. Now these are the parameters which you must need to fill at least. Now we can go and we can execute it over here. And once you execute, it shows you the different data header data related to the document. So you can see now the company code, document number, fiscal year. It shows you the document type. Document type is KZ. KZ refers to vendor payment. Then it shows you the document date, when the document date was put, when the posting date is there, then the period is there, entered on when the document was been entered, at what time it was been entered, then by whose username it was been entered, the transaction code is there, reference is there, header text is there. These all are the part of header data for each of the documents. Even you can see the reference keys there for reference part information, storing further informations for the transactions. So there are a lot of different fields which have been updated from many of the other modules as well, which have been integrated, and many from the FI site. So these are the two different tables which are very important. Now moving on to the general ledger. General ledger has got two different tables. One is open item and one is cleared item. So both the transaction, whatever, whether there is open item or cleared item, are stored in two different separate tables. So if you go for BSIS, enter. So you can see over here accounting secondary index. It doesn't update you anything over here now. So you can go and you can execute over here for any of the GL, or even you can execute it at the document number level as well, whether that is a clear item or not, and you can execute this part. So this is, I have just given you an overview how you can execute different table at the master data level or the transaction level, and these are the different table in general ledger, account receivable, accounts payable, which you can execute at your end, and you can just have a look how these works. Similarly, there are banking table which store the bank data, like when you make any payment or you receive the incoming payment, those document information like the bank number, name of the bank, check number, lot number, then the payment date, value date, bank key, these all are stored within the banking data, that is PAYR, pair. If you want to execute that, we can execute that in the table SE16N, enter. We need to execute the table PAYR, enter. So you can read the detail payment medium file. Now over here you need to put the company code, paying company code, and then if you want you can search it with the house bank for a particular bank also, and even you can search it for all the banks together. Even if you want to have the data related to payment for a particular vendor or a customer, that option is also there on the screen. Even you can put the run on date, like when we run the automatic payment run on particular day. If you know when the automatic payment run was done, you can put that automatic payment run date over here, and it will show you the data related to bank payment for that particular date. Even you can execute it at check number level as well. So whichever level you want to execute it, you can put the data in it and you can execute for that particular part. Similarly, going below you will find a lot more and further informations related to the banking. So suppose I take a certain document and for which we can have a look for. So suppose I put certain banking data, payment document number over here, execute, and now let's execute this to have the look. So you can see now these are the different document number which has been put up, and it shows you the information that the house bank is there, account ID of house bank is there, the payment method is C, which refers to check, and then to and from refers to the check number to and from. The run date is been mentioned, the ID is mentioned, and the vendor number has also been reflected to you. If it will be an incoming payment, then the customer will be reflected to you. Then again the account number of the bank has been reflected, the payment document number. This is the document number which has been generated from the system, which has been reflected to you. Then it shows you the year as well, and then the payment date. Moving on to the amount, then print date, when was the check printed. Print time is also been reflected to you. Print user who has printed it has also been reflected to you. Now even you can see the name of the pay to whom the payment was made has also been mentioned over here on the screen. Name of the pay has been mentioned. So this is the pair table which store all the data relating to the banking transactions. Moving to the next is the asset accounting. For asset accounting, there is a table for header data, that is ANEK, and there is a table for the line item data, that is ANEP. So these are the different tables. Similarly, these tables are executed for the banking part, the cost controlling part as well. Now moving on further, let's have a look at the particular tables over here. You can just have a look on this. So you can see how these tables are linked to each other if you take care of that. Let's take a more simpler one, like this is there, accounts payable. So accounts payable, this is vendor master data. Now vendor master data can be have got multiple tables that we have discussed right back. So there are purchasing data, there is general data, there is company code data. So we have discussed about LFA1 and LFB1, and there is one more, that is purchasing data, which is stored the data with respect to the material management department. If you look, these are the different table. LFM1, this is for vendor master record purchasing organization data. Then LFA1, that is vendor master general selection. LFB1 for vendor master company code data. So you can have a data of vendor master data at company code level, you can have at client level also, and you can have even for the just for the material management department which has been created by them as well. Moving further down, you will find account receivable data. Again, account receivable customer master can be created at client level, at company code level, and even at the sales area level as well. So everyone has got their own tables within themselves. So these are a different table related to the customer master which are linked to each other. Moving down, then you will find table for cost centers, profit center, cost elements also. Within profit center you will see CEPC, that is for profit center master data table, which contain the profit center field, valid to and from date, controlling area, and many more which we have just seen a while back. Similarly, you can have a look for the general ledger data of asset master as well, which we have executed and have seen SKB1, SKA1, SKAT. So there are huge list of tables within the SAP system. You can see these are the different tables on your screen further. Like for asset header posting data, there is a different table ANEK. For asset line item, there is a different table ANEB. I already said that there are more than 25,000 tables within SAP. I cannot discuss each and every of them. I would be taking or highlighting just few of them as which are more important and frequently been used within day-to-day requirements. So a different table for depreciation, then different table for asset down payment settlements. You will find further down accounting header data, that is BKPF, which we have discussed earlier as well. Similarly, you will go down, you will find BSEG as well over here, that is the BSEG table. You can see over here BSEG. You will find BSID, BSIK for open item in customer and vendors. Then below table starting with C refers to the controlling data table. Even there are table for electronic bank statement line items as well. So huge list of different tables are there in it. So this is how different table works, and This is just to give you a basic knowledge with respect to the tables, that these tables are very important once you are in a consulting line, to see a lot of different data, to confirm the data at times, and even at times when you are going for any Z customization or maybe a customized report to be developed or any enhancements to be done, you should have the knowledge of these fields, this table and the different fields within it. Even if you don't know how to go for and check in which table that particular field will be, even from the transaction level you can know that that particular field belongs to which table. Like I can just explain it to you. Suppose I am over here on this screen, I am just displaying the document on my screen, and I want to know that, suppose that this particular document number or the document date, the document date is stored in which table in the SAP system, because there are more than thousands of more than 125,000 tables in the SAP system. So how can I come to know that out of those 125,000 tables, in which table this document date is stored? So if you don't know that, even you can simply know with put the cursor on that particular field and click onto the F1 key on the keyboard. Once you click onto the keyboard, a new screen opens in front of you. You can see that document date in document. Now to see the document, this document date table and field, you need to go to this particular tool over here which has been made over here. This is technical information. You can click onto that technical information, and once you click, you will find a new pop-up screen. Now if you read that, that gives you many informations within it, like the program name, the screen name. Then now over here, what is important for you is this table, that is the field data. You can find the table over here, BKPF table name, and the field name is BL date. So within the BKPF, the technical name of the field, that is document date, is BL date. So this is the technical name of the field, that is document date. Similarly, if you want to see for any of the other field, you can close this down. Suppose I want to see the field of amount in which this particular amount is stored. Again, I can put the cursor on this particular amount and I can click onto the F1 key, and I can go to again the technical information, and we can click on it, and you will find the table, that is BSEG. So the first part before the underscore is the table name, that is BSEG, and the field name is AZBET. So this is how, even if you don't know the table, if you know the transaction, the document which you have been displaying, if you click on the F1 button on that particular field, even that will give you the table in which that particular data has been stored with. So this is all about the table within the SAP FI and the CO module, which we have discussed how this table works, the table flow, the different kind of tables, and this is very important in the technical perspective for a functional consultant. Now moving on further, the next is functional specification. So once you got some knowledge of the technical part like the table, the fields and all those things, now the next part comes up is the functional specification. A functional specification, or sometimes a functional specifications, is a formal document used to describe in detail for software developers a product's intended capabilities, appearance and interactions with users. The functional specification is a kind of a guideline and continuing reference points as the developers write the programming code. So this functional specification, so in general terms, the functional specification states what the proposed system is to do, whereas design is how the system is to be constructed to meet the functional specification. or you can say that whenever there is a need of any customized development or reports to be developed, a functional consultant needs to write a functional specification. He writes about what kind of a things is required and how those things can be taken up from the table and the fields. In writing it, some consideration of design issues may take place to ensure a realistic system is specified. The functional specification, which is also known as FS in the short form, should be clear, consistent, precise, and unambiguous. The user requirement may mean that the user interface should be included in this document for some project, whereas for other this will be done at the design stage either within a document or developed via a prototype. So this functional specification comes next to the configuration. When it comes to the functional consultant job, without mastering it, your SAP experience is incomplete. So when you find certain things, certain requirements of the client not fulfilled within the standard SAP system, you need to go and customize those things as per the client requirement. And for that, now you need to design a functional specification first, where you would be explaining the technicals, how that to be programmed, and then on the basis of that, an ABAP, which is termed as a technical consultant, is to work on and has to do the programming so as to provide that particular customized part. So functional specifications are written when the standard SAP is not able to meet the client's requirement. Based on the functional spec, an ABAPer will write the technical design document, and then the functional guy will test the same in the system and document the result in his test script. So there could be different kind of functional specifications like enhancements, modifications, there could be reports, there could be client customized report, there could be interfaces, then there could be EDI. So there are different kind of enhancements, different kind of customizations which are done, and on the basis of that, different kind of functional specifications are prepared by the functional consultant, that is the FICO if it is related to the FI finance and accounts department part. If it relates to sales and billing, then a sales and distribution consultant is supposed to write the FS for that. So the objective should be that the technical guy should understand it in one go and not to reduce any further clarification in that. So it has been written so that it can be simply understood by the technical consultant, and it should not delay and should deliver the particular reports within a time period.